What's up, guys? Troy here. Just thought I'd pop a little message quickly before I head to bed. It's a bit later, but I had something on my mind, and I thought, I just wanted to lay it out there before I wake up in the morning, and a lot of other thoughts start taking over from that. But here's just a bit of advice. I think there's so many of you. In fact, I know that there are many of you out there who are carrying a desire and a passion to want to do something, to want to progress, to want to go somewhere new or develop yourself, expand yourself, whatever that might be. You're bored with the current status of your life, whether it be a job that you're in, you might be edging towards the end of your schooling career. What are you going to do next year? You've got a few thoughts, they're a little bit different to what your mom and dad say. Whatever place you might be in. But more specifically, I think there are quite a few of you who are right on the verge of making decisions, or making a particular decision, whatever that might be. You know what I'm talking about, and that's what I'm talking about. That decision that you want to make, that positive decision that you want to make, it's a step that you feel you need to take. It's something that you feel you've thought about it. Everyone around you doesn't seem to understand, it doesn't make sense to them, but it is something that you want to do, that kind of thing. Two things about that. Firstly, there's no major rush. You don't want to be taking a chance or a risk in the light of running away from something. If you're running away from something, not a good reason to go. Even though your state or your condition or your circumstance might be negative, and that certainly will be a factor, I'm not saying ignore that. What I'm saying is rather establish yourself in a place where you're running towards something. Is the new step you want to step onto, the new direction you want to go to, is that something that you want? Is the burning desire of what you want to do the pull factor, or are you being pushed? Now you might be being pushed, and that's fine, but I'd say focus your energy on what you would like to have be pulling you, because that is where your motivation is going to be. That is where your next step towards your dream is going to be, or your dream itself, and that's incredibly important. And sometimes write it down. Many times I've had thoughts, and I thought fantastic thoughts and visions and ideas just about my future, and oftentimes they happen in the evening when you've relaxed and the busyness of the day is gone, and you're just in a relaxed mindset, and you wake up the next morning when the next package of 24 hours is about to start, and you've actually forgotten about it, or you remember it, but that excitement isn't quite there like it used to be. Write things down, document things, and I think that's very important. I'm not saying that you need to stick to something you've written down. Sometimes our visions and our goals change. The goalposts change as you develop and as you grow. But I think it's important to document and write things down. But I want to give you one perhaps practical thing that maybe you could do. And I think it's very important, because I did say earlier in a previous post that I would mention the difference between personal fulfillment and an achievement. And sadly, many people have achieved great things, but they are the loneliest people around. You think about, and I haven't researched the statistics, but you think about how many Hollywood stars in the last 2 to 3 years have committed suicide. These are people who have achieved fame, they've achieved recognition, global recognition, and they've achieved financial abundance, incredibly massive financial abundance. They're in a place of complete, I have everything, the ultimate dream for many people. Yet we find that those are the people who are the loneliest, and have actually sadly taken the step to end their lives, which is incredibly sad. And then, in my particular arena, I can't remember when last I've heard of a homeless guy who's taken their life. That particular place where you felt surely that's the lowest of the low in terms of hope and dreams, yet they go by one day at a time. one step at a time. And the mentality around that fascinates me. But it's an interesting thought, not a scientific one, it's just an observation. You can believe me or not, but that's just a thought that's run through my mind. But the reason is around personal fulfillment. You need to know who you are, and that is your strengths and your weaknesses. And don't think that your weaknesses are going to be your stumbling blocks, because your weakness could actually be really the direction that you end up strengthening in. And where your passion lies, you just haven't given it the attention it needs to build that muscle. And your strengths might actually just be the muscle you've been feeding, but it isn't actually your passion. So the journey of self-fulfillment and getting to know yourself is an incredibly important one, because you don't want to set a goal that you want to achieve, and then you achieve it, and you're as lonely as you were on day one. And I think to get that ball rolling, that's the one thing I want to leave you with now. To get that ball rolling, here's a suggestion. At a time where you and a very close friend of yours, and try not to make that sort of group too big. You know, if you've got a very close friend, maximum 2, so there's 3 of you, no more. And it doesn't matter if you're 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. In fact, that's probably the best time to do it. 2 or 3 of you just get together in a particularly mature environment, not where you're all giggling and being silly and whatever the case might be, but in a place where you decide, right, let's give each other homework. Here's a lovely word for a 15-year-old. But let's say there's 2 of you sitting together and you decide, right, each of you are going to write a detailed essay on the other. No rush, spelling doesn't count, but detailed essay of how one of you perceives the other in terms of personality, habits, good and bad. Now it might sound like a menial task, but if you have a close friend who's truly honest with you, and you make it very clear between the 2 of you that no grudges will be there, there's no hard feelings with whatever comes out. More than likely, if you're close enough friends, it's all come out already. But I think there's something special about documenting, writing it down, where you've had the time to think about your friend, and he or she's had the time to think about you, and document it, 2, 3, 4 pages, whatever the case might be, with the purpose of unpacking who you are, because you might carry a perspective or a perception of who you are. But many times that's not what other people are seeing. I've often told my son and my daughters that shyness expresses itself in the form of disrespect, of being rude, impolite. A lot of shy people do come across seeming snobbish. You know about yourself that perhaps it's just shyness. You battle to interact with people at a specific level or in a particular environment. To you it's shyness, to you it's nothing serious. But to them, it's defined as something different. And I think that as step 1, self-awareness and personal fulfillment, I think the journey starts at ripping the band-aid off, whether it hurts or not, seeing how other people perceive you, positive and negative, read it, put it away. In a day or 2's time, read it again, put it away. In a week's time, read it again. And out of that place, personal introspection, just some personal introspective moments where you can actually say, right, this is how people are seeing me, where to from here? Because if you just bolt out like a bull in a china shop saying, I want to start my own business because I want to earn a lot of money. Okay? Realistic, fair enough goal. But I can promise you right now, if you get to that point where you end up with R1 million or $1 million or £1 million or whatever the case might be, in your bank account, and that whole journey, you have not reached self-satisfaction, gratification, and fulfillment, you're not going to be in a happy place. What I can tell you is, if you do know who you are, you'll better be able to discover what you enjoy, what you're good at. You'll work twice as hard at it, and you'll reach that end goal earlier. Those from accounts that I've heard, it only makes sense, but I am aware of people, whether the goal is to be rich or whether the goal is to achieve a certain mark at the end of a year or grade at the end of your schooling career. These are fantastic goals, and many people put everything they have and everything they are to achieve those goals. Once they're achieved, the feeling isn't as special as they thought it would be, because they have lost track of who they are. So there's the one bit of advice I'd like to give you, or at least a practical tool. Get to know who you are, and how to do that. Sit with a close friend or two who do know you, probably better than you think you know yourself, and let them document everything they know about you, positive and negative, and you can help them out in the same way. And I think that's a very practical and a very helpful tool to get the ball rolling in that particular direction. I hope that's been helpful to you, and keep well.